Come on. Can you guys hear me on Facebook? Yes, yes, yes. Hello, hello, hello. Nobody's there yet. Can you guys hear me here? There. Hello, hello. Anyway, Instagram. Yeah, you guys always work, and it's Sunday Night Live, U.S., U.S. and Europe, and North Africa. I don't know. But anyway, welcome to Sunday Night Live and Monday Morning Live. Yeah, and can you hear me on Facebook? Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. Yes, on Facebook can hear. Yes or no? Yes, no. Yes, no. No. Marika, come on, mommy, play doll. Okay, doll play out. Okay, very good. Anyway, I've got the old equipment because the new equipment is too new or whatever, whatever, whatever. Um, well, you didn't even see that question. You're gonna have to ask that again. Okay, you guys. So let's. Good morning, everyone. Or good evening, everyone over there. And we're gonna get started with the questions. There's a lot of questions today, and we'll do my best to get through them. Um, so you all, I mean, I'm sure everyone knows what's like things are happening, right? You might recall that I mentioned that whatever the main show is, greetings from New York. Greetings. Hello, good morning and good evening, Melody. After this, you got to go to sleep. If you want, yeah. Hey, a lot of people from New York. Fantastic. Yeah, upstate and downstate New York. Beautiful. Um, you all know what's happening, right? Sort of. Remember, the main show is never the show. The main show is never the show. What you're watching, what they're telling you, like all the great election stuff, and we've got all these fantastic people who are going to change the world, and we're going to be back to normal. I mean, not back to normal. We're going to be better than ever because we won't have to get injections when we're young and stuff like that. But meanwhile, meanwhile, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about. So as not to be deleted, I don't know how not to say that. I don't know. Anyway, Pittsburgh, yay. So anyway, so we know what's happening. We saw what happened in LA, and we know that it's uh, quite similar to Maui. We know that. We know that. We don't know that, then we're in big trouble. And then if we don't know that yet, if we don't know that, if we want to pretend that that's not what's happening, then okay, all right, and then yeah, okay. So I don't know what to say to that kind of mind that still thinks that still might think that this is all just anyway. It's not clearing the way for 2030. Clearing the way for 2030. Okay, you know that. You know that. You know that. You know about smart cities, right? Smart cities keep smart cities are for stupid people. That's why they call them smart cities. That's why I call them smart cities because only stupid people will go there because they're not really cities. They're not really cities. I don't know what to say, what I can and cannot say. I know I'm on X, and there's a few places that won't censor me, but you know, they knocked me off TikTok, man. They just knocked TikTok off. Hey, and if they can do it to TikTok, I guess they could do it to anything, anyway. So you guys, It could also shut all this down too, right? But let's not do anything yet. Let's just, let's just send each other messages and talk about how bad this is. But let's not do anything. Nah, we shouldn't do anything, right? Let's just, come on. I gotta go to work. Let's not do anything. Let's not do anything. Let's not stop this. What's happening? You guys have an idea what's happening? I know you do. So why are we beyond outraged? Why? Why? Why are we not beyond outraged? Why? Why? Why are we doing? Why are we acting like everything's normal? It's not normal. I mean, if this is normal, it can't be normal anymore. We got, come on, get on the roofs and let's shout. We gotta. That's why the LA happened. That's why Maui happened. That's why they're wiping out the East Coast too, and they're fogging cities. I mean, it's, I don't know what. When do we say, hey, where might it be a war? Whatever happened to the First and Second Amendments? Remember those First and Second Amendments? If you're in the U.S., if you're not, then it doesn't apply. But still, so if we're aware and awake, what are we going to do? It's time to do. We can't just be awake. We can't just say, I know what's going on, and we've got to do something. Where are we? Hey, Ann, where are we? Hey, good morning. Yeah, Ann, yeah, from Prescott. So what are we going to do? Come on, I'm telling you. Good evening, I mean. Anyway, I don't, I'm only one person and I'm old. I can't really fight. So, but we need to, we have that Second Amendment, and that Second Amendment is to protect the First Amendment and all the other amendments. And that is, and if we're not willing to fight for our freedom, the question becomes, do we deserve it? That's a good question. Do we deserve it? Because, it's time to make that decision, because it's time to make that decision. It's all coming down. If you don't, you got to just say, okay, it's coming down. What are we going to do? Right? Yeah, the topic is regarding CFCs. So I'll be right with you. Okay. I hated to, I know we want to talk about the stuff that we want to talk about, but is there anything more important than saving the human race, which we are all members of? I mean, is it? Okay, whatever. Okay. Then we won't talk about this stuff. We'll talk about everything else. There we go. I can put me down there, but I can't see you guys. Let's see, how does this work? Can I do it like that? Yeah, that might be better. Okay. Okay, good. All right. So let's get into the questions. All right. So, and by the way, just to let you all know, to remind you that we have this inner circle thing that we're doing we have there's three groups: health and healing, parasites, and CFCs. Chronically fermenting cells are what we call the Rockefeller word cancer, right? We don't use that word because that word conveys no information at all other than identifying people born between June 21st and July 22nd. That's all it could possibly do. But it doesn't give you any other information. So we use the word chronically fermenting cells because that's what it is. That's what they are, okay? And it conveys information, and it does not convey what the other word conveys, which is absolute fear. And the reason it conveys absolute fear is because it communicates nothing but it has become synonymous with the word death. And we don't want that. It's not synonymous with death. I can tell you that. I've watched what they would call miracles. They're not miracles. It's natural. What happens is natural and can happen. You just got to get the right. You got to do all the things we talk about. So anyway, there's CFC. So we have CFC group, we have the parasite group, and we have the health and healing group. So the health and healing group is talking about health and healing, and that's it. Parasite group, we're talking about parasites, right? But they do a lot of things. They can cause CFCs, etc. They can cause, but if you're a parasite, in the parasite group, you get automatic automatically in the health and healing group, and if you're in the CFC group, you're automatically in the other two. And the CFC group, we focus a lot on CFCs. Okay, right? Got all that. And as I said, we're increasing our content. Uh, we're gonna have Darren, who's a kinesiologist. We're gonna have on regular, helping us move, learn how to move and stay active. Vanessa to teach everything that she teaches. Vanessa is a healthcare coach. Beyond that, way beyond that. I mean, but I've worked with her several years, 6, 7 years now, in both Thailand and the U.S. So she's going to help teach all this stuff. I mentioned it, but then how do we do it? How do we go about doing it? She'll help that. And then we have a couple people, and then we're going to be teaching raw food recipes. Raw food, we call it raw food because that's how everybody recognizes it, but I call it real food because that's what it is, and it's not raw. Raw is a painful thing, right? If you have a raw legs or you have a raw, it's raw, it's painful. I don't want raw. Nobody wants raw. We want real, and that's real. Why is it real? The earth made it. Okay, when does something become unreal, or also known as artificial, is when it gets into the hands of human beings. As soon as we touch it, it's artificial. Well, that's why archaeologists, when they're digging, what are they looking for? Artifacts. What is an artifact? An artifact is something that's no longer natural because humans were here. I mean, anyway, so as soon as we get a hold of something and we do something to it, we make it's no longer natural. That's what. So we're talking about real food. Real food is food that the earth produced, and did a pretty good job because it took us. I mean, how many millions of years um, without using fire to denature our food. Yeah. Anyway, and we'll talk about that probably in a second. Anyway, um, so those three groups are, and the reason I want you to do that, get into these groups, is because now I'm going to answer questions that were sent in, mailed, written into the website, and if I don't quite understand or I don't have enough information from the question, I'm not able to ask you, well, we can't have that interaction. And if we can't have that interaction, then it's going to limit the ability to answer and respond, right? Right. So in these groups, it's live, it's interaction, there's Zoom, so we can interact. And we can also go over your personal case, your personal situation, which is what everybody wants to do. So it's the same as having a consult. So it's well worth it. Plus, there's a lot of other content. Do that, and you go to the website, and it'll tell you how to do it. drlodi.com. Just go there, and it'll tell you how to get into these groups. It's right there. Okay, and then you can do it. And it's much. Anyway, you don't have. I'm not. Just it's how we can have a more interactive thing going on. Okay. All right. Now. So as you know, we're at Dr. Thomas Lodi, which is on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, LinkedIn, and it used to be TikTok. But unless you use a VPN or something like that, I don't know. If you use a VPN, you're not from the United States of America. Then you might be able to get into TikTok. I don't know. But they're and I don't think it's that anymore. I think isn't it Dr. Lodi? It's Dr. Lodi 2.0 or something like that. Anyway, doesn't matter. And then, of course, the only one that is different is X, and that's at Dr. Thomas Lodi, MD. Had to put the MD in there because I don't know why, but that's what had to happen. All right, so find us, and we're going to all migrate over to X, okay? Because X, I'm going to be able to be freely and not have to talk like a what am I? How am I talking? I'm like almost saying things. I don't like to almost. I like to just say it, and I can't because I'm stuck in this world of whatever. So anyway, let's all migrate to X because there we and then we also can use Rumble and okay. So let's do that. All right, now we're running on USA. We're running on all time. There's only one time, and that's now. Wherever you are, your clock may say different things, but guess what? It's now. How do I know that? We're all here. We're all here now. We're here now. We're not here at any time. We're here now. Okay, so I know it doesn't fit into paradigms. There we go. There we go. No, Marina, Velasta does not interfere with it. No, 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 no. Okay, so he's suggesting that, and a lot of people suggest a lot of different things, but I'm just telling you that's not how it works. The body is extremely complex and kind of. I mean, think about it. Just think about it. You eat a sandwich. Molecularly, that's a pretty complicated thing there, But you know what? Not to the body. Separates what it needs and gets rid of what it doesn't. All right? Out of that, an extremely complicated thing called a sandwich. All right? So I'm just telling you. So they're going and doing what they're doing. Don't worry about that. There are interactions and stuff, but that's not one. Okay, so now. Right. No, so it's 7 a.m. here, which is 5 p.m. in Arizona the day before, which is, if we're, depending if we're, I don't know, if it's the same as California. If California is 5 p.m., then it's 8 p.m. In New York. And then what time is it in London and Europe? It's like 2 a.m. 1 a.m. Yeah, it's terrible. I don't know what to do about timing. But anyway, let's get going. Let's do our thing. Let's answer some questions. All right? Because that's why we're here, right? You're not here to hear me talk. I mean, just about anything, right? I got to be talking about stuff that's important, right? Okay. So, so here's one. Like the first question here. I don't know how to answer it because I don't know what it means. It's from Lauren, and she says, "Can we talk about HRV and breast CFCs?" HRV. I don't know what it is. HRV and breasts. Ah, I don't know what it is. 10:30 a.m. in Australia, right? Okay, so it's good for this side. So anyway, I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Let's re-ask that question next time, or join the group, and then we can talk back and forth. All right. Next question is from Lucy, and wait a minute. Where are we? Okay, so the question is from Lucy, and it's on giardiasis. Dr. Lodi, to help healing me from giardiasis that won't go away, I have done 2 treatments of metronidazole, 250 milligrams 3 times a day for 10 days each, and it's not working. So you all know what Giardia is, right? Okay, Giardia. Giardia is a protozoa. You know that it's a single-celled organism, right? We all know that. I'm gonna just kind of uh, talk as if you don't know. All right, so it's a microorganism. It's micro because it's about 8 to 10 microns in in size. 8 to 10 microns, right? Which is a millionth of a meter, and a meter is a yard. About micron meter, 8 to 10 microns, very small. And what do? They they get into the gut in the form called the trophozoite, and they get into the gut, and they cause diarrhea and malabsorption, and they make you feel terrible, all that, and they actually they move around. They're feeding on our what we eat, and they're feeding on part of our tissues as well. Um, Now these trophozoites though cannot survive outside of our environment. So when things become harsh, like if they hit the pH of our stomach or bile, anything like that, they protect themselves and they get this cyst. They form a cyst, which is kind of made of proteins uh, and what do you call it? And uh, complex carbohydrates, and it's very strong cyst. They become encysted. Okay, they're in a cyst stage, and this is why you're not healing. Okay, because when they get into this cyst stage, now the cyst stage allows them to, even if you pass them in your feces, they'll stay alive for. I mean, they'll stay viable for months, years in near water like lakes and ponds and things like that, right? So they're viable, or anything that's kind of moist. So they need some moisture, right? Um, and by the way, they're resistant to chlorination, and drying. You can't dry them out either, so it's pretty amazing. But they'll stay in water, they'll stay in food, they'll stay in soil and stuff like that. So I know chlorine doesn't work, so I'll tell you in a minute what does work. Now, this is just very interesting, and I think we should think about it. The Olympic pools use what? For the swimmers, they use ozone. They ozonate the water. And the reason they ozonate the water are several reasons. It's at least 100,000 times more microcidal, killing microbes, than chlorine. Number two, it, uh, and it gets all various forms, including cysts, if it's in a high enough concentration. It also turns the water into something that is actually therapeutic. It's got extra oxygen, and the chlorine doesn't. You don't have the chlorine to burn your eyes, so that's why they use it in the Olympic pools. But as it turns out, we can use it uh, to clean our food, right? And so um, it's and the other good thing about ozone is that there are no harmful side effects. No harmful side effects. Um, and whereas chlorination, yes, harmful everything. The other way to eliminate them by ingesting them is if you use a filter. If the filter on your water on your RO is 1 micron, they can't fit through because they're 8 to 10 microns, so they can't get through. Period. So that's pretty good. That works. Now the cysts, they these guys are really hard to kill. And the only yeah, they're hard to kill. But the ozonation at the right uh, concentration. And let me talk about that in a minute. Well, just I mean, if you get a home ozonator, like I don't know what they have for homes for they sell to the general public, but if you can get a medical ozonator, and what was that one? What was the Longevity was the company, and I think they got forced out of business. They were in Canada. They got because Canada had that dictator. Um, I don't know, grandson of Castro or something. What was his name? Um, yeah. Anyway, then they went to the Caribbean, and I don't know where they are now, but I think they're still in business. They're called Longevity. They have really good. They've been selling medical ozone equipment for a long, long time, and it's worth having at home. But anyway, you get the hose and you can ozonate. You got to have an oxygen source, and then you got to ozonate. You get an oxygen. You can use an oxygen generator. Then you don't need a doctor to write a prescription for it, but that gets you down to about 95% oxygen. Still a little bit of nitrogen in there. Because remember, the atmosphere is 70%, 78% nitrogen, only about 21% oxygen, and a little bit of other stuff. Um, and you certainly don't want uh, oxidative products of nitrogen, so they're not good. So, but anyway, um, if you need oxygen to breathe at home, they're good. These oxygen generators, they merely just remove the nitrogen from the ambient air. So, if you can get an oxygen source, it's better that you'll have pure ozone. Now, Um, if you ozonate it, it's got to be at a high concentration for about uh, I don't know, 5 minutes. 5 minutes will can wipe out the cysts. All right. Now, hydrogen peroxide, which is more easy, you can buy easily. You've got to buy the 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide. I used to get these large barrels, 55-gallon barrels delivered to my home, and I used it in the swimming pool and all over the place. But it's 55% or 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide. And this stuff's powerful, and I used to carry the buckets over to the pool, and little drops would hit my legs. It's like bee stings. Very, very stuff. Yeah, very powerful. So anyway, if you get that and you take some amount of it, let's say I don't know, 100 mLs, and you put 100 mLs of distilled water, or yeah, try to get as clean as water as you can. Now you got 200 mLs of 17.5%, right, which is half of 35. So you've diluted it in half. Now that for 30 minutes will get rid of the cysts. All right, no fun, this thing. I slept all day yesterday. First time in a long time. Anyway, um, so the anyway, so that's that. Because you want to, not you don't want to get exposed to these things anyway, right? So that's the cyst. So you're having a problem with the cyst. So you were using metronidazole, which is considered okay, but it's got a cousin named tinidazole, and tinidazole is actually much more effective than metronidazole, right? Tinidazole, okay, and but the over time these organisms have become resistant to these treatments. So um, the best thing to do is to combine the treatments. So the main treatments the main medications that they use for Giardia are um, metronidazole or tinidazole. I would use the tinidazole for sure. Then you add albendazole. It's the only benzimidazide that works. The mebendazole doesn't work. Fenbendazole doesn't work. They don't work in this particular situation. Remember, those medications, the benzimidazoles, are really uh, designed for the worms, the helminths, right? Intestinal worms. We're talking about a protozoa here with Giardia. Giardia is protozoa, a single-celled organism. But the albendazole does have some qualities that the other two don't have, that the other rest of the benzimidazoles don't have. That does kill Giardia, and it works very good synergistically with the tinidazole, right? Okay, so what albendazole does is what all the benzimidazoles do is they inhibit the microtubule synthesis in the parasites, right? And then they can't absorb nutrients and they die. Okay, uh, but and then the tinidazole disrupts the DNA production, because it's got to divide, right, to grow, to spread, um, in anaerobic organisms, okay, and also in Giardia, um, and then the other one that is nitazoxanide, which is also known as Alinea, and we that is mainly an anti-helminth, mainly an anti-worm. However, it does have a similar efficacy in uh, it's similar to tinidazole with regards to its uh, anaerobic metabolism, because it inhibits a specific enzyme in anaerobes, right? It's the pyruvate ferredoxin oxoreductase, which anyway, it just inhibits that. So, and that prevents it from being able to live. Okay. The thing about the nitazoxanide is that it's safer. It's safer for women that are pregnant, right? Okay, so therefore the combination of albendazole, tinidazole, and nitazoxanide with lower doses, because the doses that they what they're usually prescribing are high. Like what they say, well, they say that was low dose, 250 3 times a day for 10 days. Yeah, but a lot of times they're going to say take 3 grams once a day, once, and it makes you feel terrible. They have that, or they have some for 3 days. Anyway, forget what they're saying. Mix them up and use lower doses over a longer time. Remember, we need to do that anyway, because we're all realizing that you don't only have Giardia. There's no way you only have Giardia. You've also got warm. There's no way. It doesn't. Nature is not that way. We don't have just when because we think, oh, I've got a yeast infection. It's not just the yeast are there because there's all this other stuff that's allowing it, right? It's not like everything's fine except for this one thing. It's not that way. It's everything is it, everything supports the context. Everything else acts as a context. Whoa, 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 whoa! Wow, I'm reading. I can't read your stuff. Could make me crazy. That's crazy, B. That they're telling you that don't use lead. Yeah, yeah, right. The day that the radiologist is not wearing it, then you might consider it. Um, anyway, so I just wanted to reiterate that those three are very important: the albendazole, the tinidazole, and the nitazoxanide. Together, they're going to work good. Now, but you, Lucy, are having a problem because of those cysts. They won't go. They insist. Remember, they insist on being there. Yeah. All right. So because the so what are we going to do? How are we going to treat those cysts? Well, they all, like the nitazoxanide has a moderate result. The albendazole moderately. They're all moderate, but the big one is the paramycin, which is what they call an aminoglycoside antibiotic. But you can get it in oral form, because usually in the hospitals we give it IV. But the paramycin. So the dose that they recommend is 500 milligrams 3 times a day for 5 to 10 days. Um, but they're extremely, now it's not absorbed by the gut, so it can be used also with pregnant women then, because it's not going to get in there and cause any damage. But it stays in the gut and it's able to kill the cysts. It's very, very effective. Okay, so if you're using that, so for you, I would say you've got to. I would, if I were in a position to be your doctor, which I'm not, and therefore I cannot prescribe to you or to anybody anything. I can't. I can't, and I'm not licensed in your state or whatever it is. So I'm just telling you what I would do if I were in a situation where I had a person who had a similar type of condition going on. They had Giardia, and it seemed to be, well, at least resistant to one of the to metronidazole. I'd say, well, we got to increase. I would say, I don't know, we should do albendazole, and tinidazole and nitazoxanide, right? And um, tinidazole, like 200 milligrams, I would say maybe 3 times a day, and the nitazoxanide, say 500 milligrams 3 times a day, and the alinea, I said that nitazoxanide, tinidazole, and then the other one was albendazole, 200 milligrams 3 times a day. Tinidazole. Now, tinidazole depends on how you can get it. In Like I've seen it here in 100 milligrams and 500 milligrams. So yeah, if you get 500 milligrams, take it twice a day, that'd be great. Or 100 if it's 100 milligrams, take it at least 3 times a day. It depends on how you get it, right? And then in addition to that, take the paramycin for you. I mean, for anybody who would have cysts and doesn't seem to be going away. Okay, so you got the three: albendazole, nitazoxanide, and alinea. I mean, and tinidazole, nitazoxanide, and albendazole, and the paramycin, right? And by doing that, they'll be gone. So what I would do is I would do that for about 10 days, and then I'd stop for a week. And then I would do 10 days again, and I would stop for a week. And then maybe one more time, 10 days, and stop for a week. But that wouldn't stop me from doing a thorough parasite cleanse, which would include what? Ivermectin, mebendazole, um, niclosamide, and I would also be taking anti-protozoals such as tinidazole and/or Alinea. Right. For 3 weeks on, 1 week off. 3 weeks on, 1 week off. How long? 10, 12 cycles. You know, and I would be taking liver support the same time. I'd be taking silymarin or silybinum, 500 milligrams 3 times a day, and I would also be taking what else? ALA, alpha lipoic acid, 300 or 400 milligrams 3 times a day, and I'd be taking a high dose of vitamin B complex twice a day, like a B100 twice a day, or the whatever it's called, ben ben bentof benfodiamine. Yeah, I don't like that word because I can't say it. Yeah. Anyway, that'll take care of the Giardia. Yeah, it works that way, right? And just remember, the other thing you're going to do with this situation is take probiotics and prebiotics. Prebiotic, like garlic, onion. Make sure you get all that stuff that would. But just plants. Plants are prebiotic. Eating plants, okay? With any undigestible uh, plant food is a prebiotic, meaning it is food for bacteria because they happen to have the enzymes that we don't have to digest it. So that's why it's very eating healthy. Just eating human diet. And we'll talk about human diet. The other thing that seems to be really, really good for maintaining a healthy gut is pumpkin seeds. A lot of stuff in pumpkin seeds. That's a whole other topic, right? All right, so you take the probiotics and prebiotics, you're still well hydrated, and you can do everything else in life to be healthy, right? You're going to be going to sleep early, you're going to be moving around all day, you'll be doing all that stuff, right? Yes, you are. All right, now, uh, by the way, Lucy, do all that, and after your second regimen or something of the 10 days and 7, if you're going to do that, I mean, that's what I would do. I mean, I'm not telling you to do that. I would never tell anybody to do anything, ever, except to stand up for what's going on right now. That's what I would say. Everybody stand up. Let's do it together. Let's together be the elephant that won't go up the road, right? You got an elephant. It's your pet elephant, and you want to go up the hill, and the elephant sits down. You're not going up the hill. You're not going up the hill. We, folks, are the elephant because there's only 1% of them, 99 of us. We are the elephant. We are the elephant. We are the elephant. We are the elephant. Wake up and sit down and be an elephant. We are the elephant. Okay, elephants got to stand up. We can't just say, interesting. I gotta go to work. Interesting. Oh, they're doing that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but getting back to Giardia and what I would be doing. So if you, whatever, if anyone were to do that, let me give us a message after about the second, at the end of the second one. See how things are going. So, ozonated water, 1 micron filter. Okay, now next question is from Terry, and excuse me, the benefits of using hydrogenated water or alkaline water. What is the best source to get your water from? Okay, good question. So the hydrogenated water, when the term is used, hydrogenated water, what they're talking about is putting molecular hydrogen into water. Molecular hydrogen is just two hydrogens together. Remember, hydrogen is the smallest atom in the universe. One proton, one electron. It's not quite stable. It needs to come together because you need two electrons in the outer orbit to be stable. So it comes together as H2, and it's stable. It's a gas. Being as small as it is, smallest molecule in the universe, it goes through all cell membranes. It doesn't need a carrier. It doesn't need a pore, anything. It just penetrates, which is why in a healthy human you make about 10 liters a day, and it just penetrates because it's used. Why? Um, do we make it? Why is it so powerful? Because it penetrates all cells, it gets into the cell, and it gets down, and it is a specific antioxidant, right? So vitamin C is non-specific, vitamin E, vitamin A, the last, they're non-specific. They're going to neutralize anything they see. Um, the molecular hydrogen, specific. It gets in there and it goes right into the cell, and it gets these two fundamental byproducts of metabolism that are always in there, and they're called hydroxyl radical and the peroxynitrites. Nitrites. And the peroxynitrites form because of, of a nitrate with uh, a nitric oxide with a superoxide. Okay, superoxide. What is superoxide? Superoxide is when two oxygen atoms, an oxygen molecule, which is O2, enters and it splits in half. And you got one oxygen, one oxygen. They're both called O negatives, and they're what they call superoxide anions. Very, very reactive. When that goes into a cell and it mixes with a nitric oxide, which cells have, you get peroxynitrites. Okay. Peroxynitrites are dangerous because they penetrate, they disrupt cellular membranes. So they'll disrupt the cell membrane of the cell. They'll disrupt the mitochondrial membrane. They'll disrupt the nuclear membrane. They'll disrupt all the membranes, the lysosomal, which is dangerous because you're going to spill all the enzymes into the cell. Anyway, peroxynitrates are bad, not nice. They're and the OH negative, the hydroxyl radicals are, again, they disrupt everything. So these are the two fundamental biochemical byproducts that are sitting around in cells by the end of the day. They're just what accumulates, and they've got to be eliminated. And now, what does the molecular hydrogen do to the hydroxyl radical? When it goes in, you got an H2 molecular hydrogen. It hits an OH. What do you get? H2O, called water. Pretty neutral stuff. So that's what happens with H6. So they are specific antioxidants, and they don't mess with some of the other oxidative products that you need. Remember, oxidation is not bad, and antioxidation is good, because there's no good and bad in the universe. There's only that which is necessary. Okay, so our cells make energy by oxidation. It's called oxidative phosphorylation. Our adrenal glands make adrenaline by oxidative. So, and it's used everywhere. So it's a balance of oxidation and antioxidation. Okay. That's all of life. So, so if you had too much of a generalized antioxidant, you could literally disrupt your ability to produce energy. I mean, yeah, that's what could happen. All right. Now, believe it or not, you guys, I know here, I'm seeing all your questions, and I'm seeing what you're not hearing me, because you're busy trying to get to your. Listen, I made a small post for New Year's. I don't know if you saw it, but it may have been funny in some way, but it was not meant to be funny. It was very real, and that is because everyone makes goals for New Year's. What's your goal? What are your goals? My goal for New Year's for 2025 is to have no goals. Wow, what an idiot! Oh yeah, what an idiot! Yeah, why do I not want goals? Because if I have a goal, I'm going to miss everything else. I'm focused on that goal. I've got a pathway. I've got a plan. I'm going to get that goal, and I'm going to miss out on 99% of what the universe is presenting to me, because I'm looking for that goal and I didn't see that. By the way, if I ever get to that goal in a year from now, I may not even want it anymore. It may be unnecessary. Or if I do get to it, then I'll have a question that I missed. I could have had answered if I was listening. I'm telling you, what I'm talking about right now pertains to everybody in every situation. So listen, I'm going to get to your questions when I get to. And by the way, your question will get answered. You need to get a foundation, a context of understanding of everything in order to understand everything and not have as many questions. Better than giving you an answer to a question, should I take 300 milligrams? Better than giving you that question, give you the ability to figure that out or to answer it yourself. That's what my goal is, to make you not need another doctor the rest of your life. You don't need them, because first of all, 99.9% of them have not only don't know what they're doing. The sad part is that those that do know what they're doing don't care that they're doing harm. Anyway, but I'm telling you, what I just told you about molecular hydrogen, if you're too busy asking a question about some other specific situation, you missed out on the fact that by having enough molecular hydrogen, you will be able to eliminate tumors. You'll be able to prevent cognitive decline. I mean, it's anyway. So how do you get the molecular hydrogen? You get it real simply. You get it from you get those tablets like Mercola has them. You dissolve them. Um, the problem is that it's got to be 1 to 3 parts per million, and so I don't know if his tablets do that, or if so when you put the tablets in the water and you'll see them, they sink to the bottom and they start, or you put them in there and you put them in an empty glass and you pour the water on top. Then they'll start bubbling, and when they start to float at the top and there's no bubbles up, they drink it all right away. You want to try to get at least 1 to 3%, 1 to 3 parts per million. That's what you need. Okay, and now you can also get there's hydrogen machines that make it, and yeah, I mean, don't buy it pre-made. There's no such thing. You have to make it with the machine or use the tablets. You got to have it at that concentration. All right. Now they inhale. You can inhale it too, and that's very good. And that's for acute conditions. You really will have it, but we all have acute conditions. It's called life. Yeah. Anyway, 1 to 4% is what it needs to be in inhaled hydrogen. Okay. So, and there's even dissolved hydrogen in saline that we can give IV. All right. So now, in addition to neutralizing those specific antioxidants, it reduces inflammation in general. So the body stops producing as much IL-6, interleukin-6, and tumor necrosis factor alpha, which is very important. Those are really behind, and they keep us highly inflamed. All right. So, and as a result of that, and then you wind up getting improved metabolism of your mitochondria. Your mitochondria become more efficient, right? Because you've gone in there and you've eliminated the things that would destroy them, so they become more efficient. Okay, which is really good for everybody. Even athletes will benefit by that. The other thing is, because the hydrogen gas is so small, it crosses the blood-brain barrier. It can protect neurons, right? So it's very important for any of those conditions that we call Alzheimer's, we call Parkinson's, or just cognitive decline, whatever, chemo brain, whatever it is. It's going to get in there and it's going to neutralize specific oxidants, oxidative products that are damaging, as well as turn off inflammation. So it's very important, right? And by reducing this inflammation in the gut, you wind up getting a healthier gut microbiome. So it's good in that regard. It's good for the skin and aging. So it's very good. All right. Now, regards to alkaline water, there's I don't know, there's no way to say about alkaline water other than it is fraud. Did he say? Did he? But I just bought a and it's it cost me a lot. You mean yeah, that's what I mean. Okay. Now, why would I say such a thing? I say such a thing because anybody who looks at the science would say the same thing, right? Right. So our stomach requires a pH of 1.5 to maybe, during digestion, it gets diluted maybe up to 3. But we got to keep it low. And why do we need it low? We need to digest protein. It needs that protein. We need to kill any microorganisms that we don't want and parasites. We need to change the uh, the ionic structure of certain minerals so we can absorb them, such as iron. So for absorption and things like that, we need that. So you drink alkaline water, what happens? Let's say it's got a pH of 8 or 9. Right? I'm going to drink this alkaline water. But what they're telling you is it's going to change your systemic pH and you're going to alkalinize. No, no, no. There's no science. Show me the science. Show me. Anybody, show me that science. But I'm going to tell you what happens. You drink alkaline water, what happens? It goes into a pH that's very low and it's high. What happens? You get a reaction. The pH, you might have increased the pH of the stomach acid from 1.5 up to 2.5. Still extremely acidic. And what does that do? Reflexively, the homeostatic response of the stomach is to make more acid. You've accomplished nothing. But why would they? I don't know. Why would they want to sell it? I don't know. Now, let me just talk to you about the pH of the blood. pH of the blood is carefully maintained between 7.35 and 7.45. Anything outside of that is life-threatening. There are multiple buffering mechanisms that prevent you from going either way. Bicarbonate, breathing. I'm not going to go into all, but there's a lot of buffering systems. You cannot get outside of that. So if I'm drinking an alkaline water of 8 or 9, I think I'm going to increase my alkalinity of my blood. First of all, it's never going to get there, as I just said, because it's going to just happen in the stomach. But if it were to get in there and I got a pH of 8 or 9 in my blood, I'd be dead. Dead. Okay. You can't go above 7.45, and you don't want to go above 7.45. You want to be around 7.4. That's where we operate perfectly. I don't know how this came to be, the whole alkaline water thing. I don't even know. And it's what are they selling? What is it with machines? They're selling them. They're expensive, and it's persisted for years. How do they get away with it? You cannot change the pH of the blood above 7.4. And if you're below 7.35, you're sick. You're not sitting there. You're not in your home. You're sick. You're probably in a hospital somewhere. How do you change the pH of your blood? By eating. Oh no. Don't tell the corpse eaters. Please. Okay, corpse eaters, close your eyes right now. Close your ears right now. Yeah, that's right. Plants. Oh no. Did he say eat plants? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, why plants? Because they have magnesium, calcium. What else do they have in them? Magnesium, calcium, potassium. There are all these. So why would those do it? They're alkalinizing. Alkalinizing. So you want to alkalinize your body, bring it up to maximum pH. You don't want you want to bring it up to its maximum to the healthy pH. You eat things, drink things that are producing. So you eat a plant, you drink a juice, it gets absorbed. Those minerals go into the blood and they go around and they alkalinize all the tissues. Okay, they alkalinize the tissues, right? Which is what you want to do. So, you stay well hydrated, so you're peeing all the time, your kidneys are working, and you're getting rid of uh, acid. That's how we get rid of acids. Uh, I know some people like to drink it, but I mean, drinking urine. There's a little amazing anecdotal remarks about it, but again, for me, here's the way I look at it. The body. I think was it's kind of designed by God, and God's not a guy, not a gender, not a man. Okay, I get that. I'm not saying that. No white beard, none of that stuff. Designed by the intelligence of the universe. Pretty intelligent universe. Take a look around if you don't think so. Anything that's not human is intelligent. Humans bring us down a little level. Um, anyway, so I look at that and I realize that, well, the heart, imagine what the heart's doing. All these organs are doing. The kidneys. And the kidneys are able to keep just enough potassium and just enough. I mean, the kidneys are doing really fine work, maintaining pH and all that sort of thing. They're not going to like let substances go that are necessary. They hold on to substances that are necessary, and they eliminate stuff that's not necessary. That's the way it is. So by drinking it, the story goes that if I drink it, I'm going to get all these healthy things that my body eliminated. Well, my body wouldn't eliminate them if they were necessary. Anyway, plus the idea is not. Yeah, listen, I get it. Some animals also eat their feces, and they do it for a reason. They're recycling minerals. I'm going to get my minerals in another way rather than eating my feces. Just, I don't know, one of my idiosyncrasies, you know? Yeah. Uh, but I guess you could eat your feces to recycle minerals and stuff like that. Yeah. You could. All right. So might as well. If you're going to drink your urine, let's eat some feces too. Just, I'm going to go for the plants. Just a little more. I'm odd in that way. Now, this is from Eve. Is that how you pronounce Yves? It's a French Eve. And there's Yves Saint Laurent pronounces his name. All right. So the question is, where's my water? The question is, how do you eliminate inflammation after 60? Good question. And if you're under 60, it's also how you answer. The answer is always the same. But anyway, eliminating inflammation after 60. So, because you just everything's just more exaggerated after 60. Okay. So, basically, there's a chronic low-grade inflammation due to cellular senescence, accumulated toxins, dietary influences, mainly. Mainly. Okay, so let me get into that. Okay, what is cellular senescence? Senescence a um, is a word that it's the same root that is used for, like, we know the word senile, old. Okay, same root. So senescent cells are old cells, and um, the body turns cells into senescent cells to protect us in many circumstances, because a senescent cell is a cell that's stopped the process of apoptosis to be recycled. So it's not going anywhere. It also cannot turn into a malignant cell. It cannot turn into a chronically fermenting cell. So when you get a senescent cell, it's protecting you in that regard from becoming a CFC. All right. So they do have a role. They're used in embryo when our bodies are when as an embryo, when organogenesis, when we're differentiating into different organs. Senescent cells are necessary. That's part of the process. And even as an adult, senescent cells are necessary. But as you get older, they start to accumulate. You make more of them. The problem is they begin to um, it's called inflammaging because they actually begin to produce inflammatory enzymes, inflammatory cytokines, inflammatory, all kinds of, all sorts of, and I'll talk about that in a second, all sorts of inflammatory products. All right. Um, excuse me. And so initially, remember, they're going to protect you, okay, because they're going to resist a lot of they're going to resist becoming CFCs, and they're also going to resist becoming used, in fibrotic situations, right? However, they start producing these substances and these uh, inflammatory products, right? And they're I mean, they got a really stupid name. They're called senescent associated secretory phenotypes. That allows them to come up with a little acronym called SASP, and they think they're so cool because they love acronyms, and of course they love the word phenotype. Senescent associated secretory phenotype. Hey, there you go. That's doctors for you. Really clever, right? Okay. So what is a phenotype? They love that word. Oh my God. They overuse it, of course. We've talked in the past about the fact that you have a genes, genetics. It's called your genotype. The way that manifests is called the phenotype. Very simple. For example, XX is a female, XY is a male. So XX can be this woman, that woman. So there's multiple different phenotypes for that XX. Okay. But also, you can have brothers and sisters, have very similar genetics, but very different expressions of those. You can even have identical twins. And what's very interesting about identical twins is initially at birth, they may look identical. And now, if they happen to live in the same house, in the same, they grow, and even after they get older and they stay together and all that, then they will still look more and more and more alike. But they're still having individual epigenetic changes that are going to alter the expression of their genes, and they do look a little different. So, an interesting thing about that is that my when I was married, my wife was a twin, identical twin. When her and her sister, older now, in their 30s and 40s, no, older, 50s. Um, I mean, easy to tell them apart. They're very not at first glance, no, but oh yeah, they're very different. Except when they're sleeping. When they're sleeping, they look the same. Why? Because they're not being animated by their personality. They're not being animated. It's just a very interesting phenomenon. But anyway, so phenotype. So a senescent associated secretory phenotype, and these are uh, they're pro-inflammatories like IL-6, tumor necrosis factor alpha, IL, interleukin beta, all these things that produce systemic inflammation. And then the chemokines, which attract immune cells and they cause an immune response, they produce proteases. Now, proteases will degrade the extracellular matrix, right? Like the metallometalloproteinase proteins that are in there holding tissues together. And when you do that, you wind up getting what? Wrinkles, and you get wrinkles in your organs and stuff like that. Okay, and it can also stimulate factors like VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor, which which you don't want, especially in chronically fermenting cells, right? So, um, also, the other thing there's called the bystander effect. They prevent other cells from talking to each other, and the next cell next to it will become a senescent cell, so they kind of spread. So you want to not have them, so you don't want to have senescent cells. All right. Um, so we're talking about this aspect of what happens when you age, but also not only when you age. I mean, not only when you're over 60, 40. Okay, you're starting to get it in your late 20s and 30s. So there are ways to stop or deal with the senescence. Okay, and there are compounds called senolytics. Now, senolytic, Lytic, is the adjective of lysis, Lysis. Lysis is a problem of breaking apart. If a cell is lysed, it's broken apart. Okay. Um, yeah, Gina, you can put those in. Those are good. Um, so senolytic thing. These are compounds that kill senescent cells so they don't keep growing, because you don't want a lot of them. You'll wind up with inflammaging. Okay. So anyway, so quercetin, fisetin, dasatinib. These are, you know, they selectively eliminate senescent cells. That's pretty good, right? What else gets rid of senescent cells? So these are compounds: quercetin, fisetin. Right? There's a few others. Uh, Stimulating autophagy. Okay, remember these cells don't go through apoptosis, right? How do you do that? Fasting, exercise, and then things like resveratrol and spermidine. These are they help in the same regard as autophagy. And then you want to reduce the mTOR activation, right? mTOR activation, which we know gets activated in CFCs, right? Okay. How do you lower mTOR activation? By decreasing your excessive protein intake. Did he say that? Yeah, he said that. So what is excessive? Anything above 5 to 10% of your caloric intake. Why do you eat protein? To get amino acids, so that you can now make your own proteins, right? You want to make your own proteins, you need amino acids. So you're really eating protein so that it can break down the protein into its constituent amino acids, and then you can absorb them. Yeah, I found my glasses, but then I didn't find the other ones. But yeah, thank you. I found these. Yeah, yay. But the other ones are missing, and now they don't make them anymore. So anyway, if anybody knows of a way that you can customize uh, frames, let me know. Because I just like these. I like big round, so I can see clearly. I don't want things like that. Okay, so and I can't find them anymore. So if anybody knows how you can order customized. Uh, anyway, so the reduced mTOR is to decrease protein intake. 5 to 10% is what we need maximally. And remember, protein is reading protein, so we get the amino acids, so that we can make our own protein. Because we know we can't take another protein from an exogenous external protein and put it into our body. You'll die. You put it into your blood, you're dead. Anaphylaxis, dead. That's why we have a digestive system that doesn't allow it. It breaks it down into a single amino acid, or sometimes two with them dipeptides. All right, that's it. Period. It doesn't work any other way. So the small dipeptides, and they have proteins, but they're mostly much easier to break down, and you can get them all very easily. Spinach and kale, chia seeds. I go on and on. All right, so now, um, so those are the ways, right? You want to get senolytic compounds. Everybody should be doing this. Everybody, you want to keep your senescent cells down as much as possible. So quercetin and fisetin, right, are really, really good. All right. Autophagy, you want to increase it with fasting, exercise, resveratrol, stuff like that. And you want to reduce mTOR activation. Now, I also talked about a dietary component too. Chronic inflammation, and the main, other than eating poisons, eating things that are no longer food, that were food, uh, like, they once they process it, it's just no longer food. It's no longer what the body recognizes. It's been processed. And then, of course, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, all the stuff they put in that are in there, and heavy metals. Anything else that's in the food is going to cause that. But probably the most profound part about the food that we eat that causes inflammation is when we cook food. When we cook food, we produce what are called advanced glycation end products, AGE. We know about those. If you studied functional medicine, you don't want AGEs. You don't want advanced glycation end products. Right? What else do you get when you cook food? You get oxidized lipids, you get aldehydes, which wipe out cells. So what does that do? Eating all that does what? It increases oxidative stress, increases inflammatory pathways for sure. Destroys the gut and not destroy it, but it imbalances the gut microbiome, yeah, which further increases systemic inflammation. It causes protein cross-linking and tissue stiffness. That's what it does. I'm telling you. I mean, it's just science. Look it up. Don't believe me. Look it up. Don't believe anything I say. Look it up. Don't believe any doctors. Okay, get the proof. All right. So, cook food. Now, why would cooked food do that? Because cooked food, when it becomes denatured. Now, when it's denatured, it's less recognizable by the body. The enzymes, right? Okay. And what happens is it now activates the immune system. Okay, so the immune system comes in and says, "What's going on here?" Right? Because this is the not stuff, we got to get rid of it. Right? It activates the immune system. We know that. We've done that since the 30s. They did studies in Switzerland. We know that it is It causes an immune response. Cooked food causes an immune response, right? And you wind up with not only an immune response, you get that you don't, you no longer have efficient digestion, toxins accumulate. Yeah. I'm going to do a whole thing on cooked food. I'm going to show you the science and give you the references and all that stuff. But for right now, just understand what I'm saying is absolutely true. All right. So how do you deal with that? You eat uncooked food. If you eat lightly cooked food, although people want to claim that is okay, it's not. And I refer you to the Pottinger study, where they just steamed and boiled meat and milk. That's all they did. Look at the difference and what happened. We'll go over the Pottinger study in that webinar we do on food. Okay, so how do you deal with this? They'll probably just eat uncooked food or eat mostly 90-10. Um, and and then if you're, which just means, yeah, eat as much uncooked food as you can. I mean, I don't know how else to say that. Now, one of the other things that adds to chronic inflammation, not only in older people but in everyone, is a gut dysbiosis and a leaky gut. And a leaky gut is just increased intestinal permeability. The tight junctions that hold see, anything in that tube is not in the body; it's still in that tube. Because remember, the colon, which contains feces, is part of that tube. That tube is not to go into the blood. It gets into the blood, it's everywhere. That tube is lined by cells. Those cells are held together by other things, but tight junctions mostly. These tight junctions get broken apart because we eat too much volume, too frequently, and then of course the food is not food. And we get a dysbiosis, which kills the healthy bacteria that keep it. So how do you know you have a leaky gut? You do. But brain fog, joint pain. I mean, if you're eating the food that is available today in the world, you're going to have a dysbiosis. Or you're going to have a leaky gut, period. Yeah. Um, now, so how do you deal with leaky gut? Is there a way to get out of leaky gut? How do we heal leaky gut? All right. Pretty well, of course, prebiotics, which are plants. Uncooked plants are prebiotics. And if you got enough, remember, if there's food somewhere, you'll get whatever eats that food will show up. Got ants in the house. Why do you have ants in the house? They found food. There's not another reason. Cockroaches, they found food. Any organism that is anywhere is there because there's food. So you want a healthy gut biome, put the food in there that the ones that are going to be to your benefit like. And it just turns out that they like uncooked plants. I'm just the messenger. I didn't make it up. Okay, you got a problem with it, you have to talk to the divine intelligence that put this all together, not me. Okay. So uh, anyway, so how do we heal a gut? Well, um, we allow it to heal by eating less volume, less frequently. And it turns out what they now call intermittent fasting, which is not fasting, not fasting. Fasting is 24 hours without nutrients. Therefore, juicing is not fasting. It's a liquid diet. 24-hour without nutrients is water. So water for 24 hours is a fast. So intermittent fasting would be 1 day a week, every other day, whatever. Eating once or twice a day is just healthy eating. So we just sort of clear those up, right? Now, uh, the way you can heal it is by doing that sort of thing because that's what happens. It heals. When you're not using something in the body, it heals. You got a sprained ankle, you rest it, it'll heal. Okay. You got pancreatitis, stop eating, it'll heal. Inflamed pancreas. Okay. So anyway, so that how do we heal? So we fasting heals it. Probiotics now, especially in a micro bacteria called Akkermansia. Akkermansia eats the mucus that the gut secretes, which stimulates more mucus production, and it forms it protects. It's the mucus and the tight junctions, all that together that uh, protect the gut. Okay, so you can increase Akkermansia that way. Now, Akkermansia loves polyphenols. Its favorite food is like cranberries and pomegranates and things like that, grapes. But again, so now one of the things is when you do water fasting is you stop feeding the pathogenic organisms, the organisms that are not doing us any good, that are not on our side. They starve. When you fast, they starve, and the good guys take over. It just happens, right? One of the fantastic things about fasting. So Uh, Before we get into that, all that, I want to talk about the other one is that uh, is the other lifestyle things are sleep. Not getting enough sleep increases inflammatory markers. It just does, and that's just one of them. I mean, not getting enough. Got to get enough sleep, but it's not enough. It's at the right time, and the right time is 7 or 8 p.m. Now, the sedentary lifestyle increases C-reactive protein, increases systemic inflammation. Sedentary lifestyle does it. It also increases insulin resistance. So, how do you deal with that? Regular movements throughout the day, as well as some resistance training. Resistance training to increase your type 2 muscle fibers to prevent sarcopenia. And Darren will do that when we get Darren on our program here. And chronic stress. Chronic stress results in loss of cortisol, which turns off, wipes out the immune system, period, and promotes inflammation. Cortisol, that's what it does. So you got to have enough DHEA. You got to have 15 times as much DHEA as you do cortisol. Remember, the other thing is, how do you deal with it? Meditation, deep breathing, pranayama, movement, exercises, qigong, tai chi, yoga, humming, but are the ways we deal with chronic stress. All right. Now, um, I gotta. Excuse me a second. I gotta find my water. Sorry. By the way, one of the questions before had a two-part question. It said, "What is the best water to drink?" In today's world, probably have to go with reverse osmosis because they've got some pretty good equipment now, and you can bring it down to like 1 or 2 parts per million, which is amazing. So, uh, and you can add some. Um, you don't need to add anything really because you have to realize you're going to get your minerals from drinking green juices and from eating healthy. Now, if you're on a corpse diet, I don't know. Ah, I know what you should do. And I'm going to present that too. We're going to talk about because everyone needs to do a juice cleanse, and I have figured out a way for the corpse eaters to do a juice cleanse. So we're going to talk about that. It's going to be a special little thing I'll be talking to you about. All right, so those are all the things to decrease inflammation at 60 and at 40 and at 30 and at 70 and at 80. Okay. Now, the senolytic protocol, for the, remember we were talking about fisetin, was, for the senolytic substance unit. So the senolytic is usually done pulsatile. So you take the fisetin, 20 milligrams per kilogram. So in the 70 kilogram person, that's about 1,400 milligrams a day, which is 154 pounds. Okay, so okay, that's figure out. In general use, people take 100 to 500 a day, but you can do 1,400 milligrams a day for maybe 3 or 4 or 5 days, and then off for a while, then on again. Okay. At the same time, you'll take the quercetin, right, at 1,000 milligrams per day, again for 3 days on and then off. All right. Yeah. So, uh, why these substances? Because they actually uh, target the senescent cells. Yeah. All right. So, problem with fisetin and quercetin is their bioavailability. You got to get a lot of them. So, best way is to put them in a liposomal form. Okay, in a liposomal form, you can add piperine. Now, piperine is a substance that's in pepper, and it's added to a lot of substances, a lot of herbs, for better absorption, right? Because we don't absorb. For example, if you were to eat curcumin from, no, I forget, it's two. Anyway, where does curcumin come from again? Somebody tell me quickly. The cough's not good, Gina. But believe me, it's better than yesterday. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. Right, yeah. The chemo, yeah. Not only chemo doesn't work, it causes metastasis, and I will show you that. I will show you that's in the literature. Okay. So anyway, um, by the way, so turmeric. So curcumin comes from turmeric, which they use to make curries and stuff. So if you eat it, you only absorb 3%. If you had pepperine or pepper, you might be able to get up to 5%, but that's a lot. And then when it gets in the blood, it gets metabolized so quickly it hardly. Anyway, it's really hard. So anyway, yeah, thank you. So remember, uh, if you use a liposomal delivery system, um, it gets absorbed through the lymphatics, so you get a higher absorption, and then it also avoids being metabolized so quickly. Yeah, so it's very good. It's not good. So now, where are you going to get it? So place that I think is probably the best is in Luxembourg, okay, because they have third party testing. Their labels tell you everything that's going on, and they got good reviews. So I mean, but the third party testing is the main thing that I always find to be important. Okay, so there's a few products there that are uh, from Luxembourg. One is called, I don't know quite how to say it, but it's Rhapsodice. Rhapsodice. Okay, that's RAPSDAYCI. Okay, it's a liposomal fisetin and quercetin, 1,200 milligrams. All right, it's like 1,000 milligrams of the fisetin and 200 of the quercetin. So you take two of them twice a day. You got to add some quercetin. It's not not enough quercetin, or the It's called lipomide. I don't know. Yipamide. YIPMAI, fisetin, with quercetin is 1,200 milligrams. Again, you can take that couple times a day. Remember, you're gonna do this for like 3 or 4 days. Let's say 4 days. And then you're not gonna do it for a week or two, and then you're gonna do or a week, and then 4 days, and then a week. You just pulse it like that. Okay. Okay. Now the other ones are this dasatinib and quercetin, fisetin, right? All these, and they also remove they get rid of the senescent cells. They kill them. They and they then get rid of them. So they're good. Now, what else does it? Fasting, caloric restriction triggers autophagy. You clean up things. It gets rid of damaged cells. Same with exercise. It promotes clearance. Mm. And then an anti-inflammatory diet, which is what? An anti-inflammatory diet is eating nothing but dead cows, dead pigs, dead horses, and dead dogs. Joking, joking. It's not even a joke. It's not funny because a lot of people think, they, yeah, I haven't eaten a plant in 5 years. I've never felt better. It's like, are we? Is it still like a? Where are we? What happened? Am I? Yeah, people say things like that. They say things like that, and they actually mean it. I taught. I mean, they were in front of me. They talked to me. I said, and they do it. They do it, and they feel good. We'll see. I worked with a guy named Robert C. Atkins. You know the Atkins diet. Kind of saw what happened to that. Unable to fly, fibrillating on the street, cardiac 50. Oh, okay. So anyway, so to get rid of the leaky gut, what are we going to do for leaky gut? We're going to do fasting. Which promotes autophagy, which reduces inflammation, which improves your microbiome and all that sort of thing. We're going to use glutamine. Glutamine is the primary fuel source for these guys. Okay, we're going to use glutamine, primary fuel source for the enterocytes. We're going to use aloe because aloe does what? Aloe it protects it. It improves the gut. It's good for the microorganisms. They love it. The healthy ones, right? And so together, the glutamine, the aloe, and by the way, if you can take Akkermansia as a supplement. It's hard to find, but you'll find it. There's a single. But again, fasting really increases them. They really like that, and they like the polyphenols from, like I said, cranberries, pomegranates, green tea. Green tea. They like green tea. Uh, so, uh, but L-glutamine is amazing, right? It helps it repairs the gut. You got to get the L-glutamine. You know how much you take? 5 to 10 grams a day. 5 to 10 grams a day of the L-glutamine, right? And the same with the aloe vera. So if you can get I'd say 2 tablespoons of pure aloe vera, get the plant, cut it up, and get it. Doesn't taste good, but do it with take some, maybe blend it up in a smoothie. Blend it up with yeah, put it in your juice, blend it up, or blend it in a smoothie or something like that. Put it in your yeah. It's just once, just get for healing the gut. It's very, very good. Okay, or you can just take the pure stuff and do it before meals on an empty stomach. Let it go down there. Okay. All right. So the prolonged fasting. Let me just talk a minute about prolonged fasting. And I know we got a lot of other questions. You guys are gonna hate me for sure. What time is it? Oh, definitely gonna hate me. Definitely. Should I not talk about fasting today? Okay. I wanted to break down fasting. What happens at 5 days? What happens at one week? What happens at 21 days? What happens? I want to break it down, but we'll do that. Maybe we'll save it for another time. All right, because yeah, Yeah, how do you explain? Okay, that's a good question there. How do you explain? How do you explain? This is good. This is from Hercilia. How do you explain CFCs in a person that always ate raw plants and all that jazz, fasting, everything? So they always ate uncooked food. That's all they ate. So they always ate, and they moved around all day long, and they had all that stuff. And maybe they were jazz dancers. Is that what you mean? All that jazz? Then I'd say they had to get exposed to something like a radiation, or they got some exposure of something, because otherwise they're, yeah. How do I explain that? That's how I explain it. How do I explain? How do I explain a baby being born and at 6 months develops leukemia? How do I explain that? Same thing. They got exposed to something we're not sure of. We don't know how it is. We don't know how it is, right? That's how it happened. Okay. That's how it happens. That's just how do you explain it? So I'm not sure what that question meant, where it was going, but it's okay. Fasting is important. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, let me get on with these questions. I hear you don't want to hear about fasting today. We won't talk about fasting. Someday I'll talk about fasting, and it needs to be talked about because I'm hearing there's so many experts out there now, which is blowing my mind. Because 10 years ago, when I almost lost my license for recommending it, there was no one there. No one did it. No one did it. And now there's experts. Somebody the other day was telling you on day 3 your stem cells or something completely renewed. No, they're beginning. Days 3 to 5, they begin. They're not. You haven't redone your. I mean, anyway, right. Let's get on to some stuff that you guys want to hear about. I know you don't want to hear about fast. Okay, this is from Stacy. I'm new to all this. I am on chemotherapy, and I do not want to be. Stage 4 colon is what they have diagnosed you with. I know there's a cure, and seeing this all over as I'm researching, I don't have the know-how to heal. Okay, and you're afraid to get off the chemo. Well, okay, Stacy. First of all, you've got to know that chemotherapy is not. Um, it, if we had a Zoom here, I could. You got to join the group, Stacy. You got to join the CFC group so I can share this stuff on, and I can talk to you directly. But share the screen and show you all these studies that show that chemotherapy produces metastasis and increases stem cells and increases circulating tumor cells. It does that. It does. That's what it does. Kills the primary, shrinks the primary, but causes all of it. Ensures metastasis. So your beta blocker won't interfere with it. And those that want to hear about fasting, I guess we have to do it another time because if I don't keep going on with these things, people get so angry. Okay, and I've got to do that. So we're going to talk about that in the health and healing group. Join that at least. That's the fundamental one. And now I'm going to talk about it in detail. All right, because I got to talk about it somewhere. I wanted you all to hear it, everybody out there in the world, but that's why I'm going to have to do a webinar on fasting. A real webinar on fasting. All right, yeah. Uh, so Stacy, stage 4, forget their words and all that stuff. You've got some. Your body is going through as an adaptation to what's going on in your life, what you've been exposed to. You've developed these cells, the chronically fermenting cells. Period. We've got to make them not necessary. We got to make that adaptation not necessary. So we've got to start out. You've got to go to a biological dentist. Period. You got to join the group, Stacy. Otherwise, you're lost because you'll never find the answers out there. Um, you've got to go to biological dentists, find out, and get cleaned up. A biological, they're not easy to find. Um, Dr. Emma Bramayan in Glendale, California, is the one you should go to. Absolutely. um, and or at least do a consult with her. Anyway, you got to do that. You got to cleanse your body. You got to clean your colon. You got to do all that sort of thing. And that's a lot. We talk about this a lot. If you're new to all this, we got to get you in. You've got to get in because I can't go through it all right now. But you got to clean out everything, and you got to go to sleep early. You got to move around all day long. You got to learn to meditate so you can shut off the madness. And you got to eat right and all that sort of thing. And then there are ways of dealing with it in a non-toxic way, intravenous vitamin C. But you got to be taking enough vitamin C to have um, your physiology taken care of. Your physiology requires a fasting uh, ascorbate, which is vitamin C, level of about 2.83 milligrams per deciliter of blood, of plasma. Plasma is the non-cellular portion of blood. What are the cells? Red blood cells and white blood cells, platelets. Okay, take that out, you got plasma. That has to have close to 3 milligrams per deciliter of ascorbate. That means you're satisfying your physiological requirements, and that would, in fact, if you had that, you would never develop CFCs. That's how it's so important. Vitamin A, mixed carotenoids and balasta, lots of it. Vitamin D, lots of it. You need a blood level of above 100. Iodine, with your thyroid, adrenal glands, balanced melatonin at night. Those are the fundamentals. You get IV vitamin C, IV ozone. There's ways of eliminating, killing tumors without poisoning you. You got to get join these groups, okay, Stacy? But yeah, and the chemo's not helping. I promise. It can't. Looks like it's reducing. Yeah, it's reducing it. You might feel. I don't know if you're feeling better or not. If the side effects aren't horrible, then and you're feeling better, then great. Then you've gotten the benefit out of it. So fantastic. Yay, 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 yay. Stop. And let's get you into a healing regimen now. Okay. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have CFC stem cells. And stop calling it that other, don't call it Sagittarius or Leo or Scorpio anymore. Don't call it Taurus. Don't call it Gemini. Don't call it Leo. Don't call it Cancer. Don't call it Libra. Call it chronically fermenting cells. Call them chronically fermenting cells. That's what they are. In other words, all right, Stacy. I hope you're on. I hope you're listening. Okay. Now here's this is Holly Ross. I recently got a prescription for parasite mebendazole from a pharmacy in Florida. It says 100 milligrams twice a day for 30 days. I just finished 30 days of ivermectin, 9 milligrams twice a day. I feel better, but I think this is a very old infection. Any more tips? Yes, Holly. You got you got to be doing all of the anti-helminths, the ivermectin, mebendazole, and niclosamide, same time. Praziquantel with some people. All three, same time, heavy doses, 3 weeks on, 1 week off, 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 3 weeks off. Okay? That's what you've got to do for parasites. That's what I do. 100 milligrams twice a day of mebendazole is not enough. 500 milligrams 3 times a day is what I would take. I would take ivermectin 12 milligrams 3 times a day. And I would take niclosamide 500 milligrams 3 times a day. And Alinea 500 milligrams 3 times a day. Tinidazole 100 to 200 milligrams 3 times a day. 3 weeks on, 1 week off, 3 weeks on, 1 week off. And while I was doing that, I would be taking silymarin 500 milligrams three times a day, alpha lipoic acid 400 milligrams 3 times a day, and vitamin B complex 100 twice a day, 3 times a day. And that way I'll be protecting my liver. But 3 weeks on, 1 week off, 3 weeks on, 1 week off. That's what I would be doing. Now, Amy. I hear you loud and clear about eating only human food. I've been elimination diet. On elimination for almost 4 years now, trying to fix leaky gut. So I won't have delayed allergic reactions or sensitivities towards most food. Yet the latest round of food sensitivity tests, out of 90 foods across all food groups, I literally had 4 that I did not have a sensitivity towards. Last time I tried the juice diet, my blood sugar went through the roof with maybe a quarter apple. I felt terrible. I've done 5 rounds of your comprehensive parasite cleansing already. Wow, it was hard to shut off. God. Crazy. Um, I've done 5 rounds of your comprehensive parasite cleansing already, and the biological dentist I went to couldn't find anything wrong with my teeth. I've had lots of antibiotics before, so I tried fermenting food for a year to improve the gut microbiome. Ended up with developing sensitivities. Okay. All I can eat is grass-fed lamb for now. Oh my God. I would die. I would have to die. I would die. I couldn't do it. So, fortunately for you, you're not allergic to water, right? Okay. Water fast. You can't do the juice. You can't do anything else. Water fast will do it. Amy, don't tell me you're too thin. I've had people too thin. Fast. Got to do that. Then we can heal your gut. When you come back into it, we'll do a post fast gut healing with L-glutamine and aloe and akkermansia. Get through this, Amy. I'm telling you, get through it. Okay. Forget all you don't have sensitivities. You got a leaky gut. They got a leaky gut. That's what it is. A leaky gut causes this. Got to heal that. And so the answer is to do this. That's how we can do it. All right. Um, Amy, fasting, water fasting. Got to do it. Somehow you got to get into the group so we can go through this. Because you sounds like you're really doing everything you want to do. You're doing everything. You're willing to do whatever's necessary. You're just saying what's necessary because I've been trying everything. I get that. I hear that. I see that. I see that you're willing to do it, and I want to help you do that. So, we're gonna do a water fast coming up here, and with the whole group, we'll do that, and you can join. We're gonna be doing it. I haven't quite figured out how to do it yet. If we're gonna do it, using a special Telegram group where we can all communicate or what. So, because I want to be able to communicate in real time. Um, you went to the biological dentist. They did a 3D cone beam. Um, I hope a 3D cone beam CT. And they said there's nothing wrong. And you've been alive how long? I mean, that's kind of hard. That's kind of hard to imagine. So you might want to call Dr. Emma Abramian and get a consultation. Send her that copy of your uh, 3D cone beam, and then she'll do a consultation with you. You might want to do that. I mean, you don't mind. You want to do that. Yeah, you do. And then we're going to do a water fast, Amy. Remember that. We're going to do that together. Okay? All right, now. Uh, I also have more privilege. All right, so anyway, it's like 9 o'clock now, you guys. So, uh, well, over here it is. See, no time is it? It's also not the same time in other parts, which means that we're talking about something that doesn't. It's no such thing. Because what do you all know? I mean, what time is it right now in your place? It's called now. Is it any different than now? No. So it's now. There's no time. There's clocks. There's calendars. There's no time. Why? It's always now. I've never ever experienced a time when it was not now. I've been waiting for tomorrow. It's never coming. It's always now. So I guess we're stuck here in the now. Was that Steelers wheel? Stuck in the middle with you. Stuck in the now with you. Yeah, here we are, stuck in the now. No. That was the only good song I liked. It was the only song I liked. Okay, you guys, I've got to answer your, like Charles here with the 85% of the stomach removed due to. We've got to talk. We've got to deal with this. And then here's the other person, Ashley, just diagnosed with stage 4 neuroendocrine, over 50 lesions. Okay, we've got. Oh my God. Okay, you guys, you've got to join these groups. How am I gonna? Candida. Come on, you got to join these groups so we can get into this stuff. Would I recommend hysterectomy? That's a question, and you got to. I need more of a context. Normally, I don't recommend ever getting surgeries, but I mean, you could have a reason that you do need to get it. So I don't know. Here's chronic fatigue. Okay, Sjogren's. Don't believe them. Their words. Is raw milk good for? Okay, so okay. Oh my gosh, I've got to like try to answer these questions. There's not that many. Okay, so I'm gonna. Should we do all these first next week? Let's do all these first next week. Okay, whoever's helping me with get the ones together. All these first for next week. Okay, we're gonna do that. Okay, because I feel you know badly that we didn't get to that. Right. Okay. Anyway, sweaty cop. Okay, everybody, cup of my cup, and let's see, where are we? Did we get? Yeah. Okay. Sweaty cup, and I will see you in a week. Um, Namaste. Have a good week. Aloha, and remember, people of the world, we are the elephant. We are the elephant. Aloha.